Hello and welcome to episode 18 of the ME7 Podcast. The Gills took 2 steps backwards on Saturday afternoon after 3-0 defeat, led to Neil Harris actually apologising to the Gills fans for the performance. We reviewed that and preview tomorrow night's game against Harrogate Town. We also have a signing to talk about. Finally, Hakeeb Adelakun, is that how you pronounce his name? Presume it is. Has come through the door, arriving on a season-long loan from Lincoln City. Tonight, I'm joined by Owen Stanley, Eddie Alcorn and Harry Beadle as we review Saturday's abysmal performance up north. The first game under lights at Priestfield, which is tomorrow. What else we need to come through the door and what the new boy can bring us. Boys, good evening. How are we all after Saturday?
Recovering.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, Harry, you're to the right of my screen. Good evening, buddy. Thank you for coming on this evening.
No, thank you for inviting me.
No problem at all. You took the lovely 4-hour wonderful trip up north.
I did
on Saturday afternoon. Give us your assessment of it.
Well, first and foremost, the only positive I have is that I got out of the heat because the coach had aircon. So there you go. It was before the game. I was talking to a few people. Obviously, as you do, everyone was quite positive after last week, and there was a nice feeling for once around, the fan base. It was quite nice, and as soon as the game kicked off, we didn't look like we were pressing. We didn't look like what we done last week against Rotherham. Right from the off, for me, it was almost like the heat. I know you can't blame it, but they looked like it got to them. But it's the same for both sides. So obviously we're not using that as an excuse. But you could see it. Do you know what I mean? It was a bit like more. It was slower, a lot more hoofing. And what really disappointed me the most, apart from obviously the three goals, was the hoofball we reverted back to. From goal kicks, I don't know what was happening from goal kicks. You see, Max Amar was standing next to Morris. They were chatting. We were 1-0 down at this point. So that's the first thing then. Ball over the top. Hail Mary just oofs it forward, their player. Max Amar is in no man's land. So Baggett has to try and come over and cover for Max. Baggett isn't quick enough, isn't strong enough. Their striker, probably one of the easiest goals he's going to score, let's be honest. And then of that first goal, it set the tone, really. We panicked and reverted, as I say, to hoofball. We were 1-0 down, and Max and Morris, every goal kick we got, were chatting. And then Morris would just shoo him forward and he'd oof it up there. So I don't know what they were waffling about. But the frustration was there with the fans. You could feel it. You know what it gets like at Gills when we're losing it. You feel that panic and that stress from the fan base. And when things like that were happening, Aimer comes short, they're chatting, everyone's going, come on, get on with it. What's going on? We're 1-0 down. And then we just end up hoofing it. And what really surprised me was, I don't know if Morris was aiming his goal kicks, but they kept going up to Reeves, one of the smallest men on the pitch. And it's like we've got Mandron up there. It was bizarre. We had a couple of decent spells in the start of the second half. I'm not going to lie. He changed it up, didn't he? I think when you're 1-0 down at half time, the last name, let's be honest, you want to see coming off as an impact sub is Dave Tatunda. That was a bit of a shock, but there you go. But obviously, as we know now, we wanted to change shape, didn't he? Yeah. The only player that done himself slight justice, in my opinion, was Jordan Green. As he does, he loses the ball and fights to get the ball back. But he can't do it himself, and that was clear. I think we should have had a penalty. Really think we should have had a penalty. Green in the box gets shoved down, taken down. Ref don't give it, is what it is. And obviously then we had the only chance, I will say, that we had all game, and that was Green drills it across, hits both posts, and somehow Mandron as a striker isn't there just to tap it in. And that's what you expect from the big man up top. You expect him to be there poaching, and he wasn't. They clear it out, and we were unnerved. You could see it, whether it was the heat. I mean, well, we know with Max it was because he come off, and Harry said after the game he was ill. So he didn't handle the heat very well personally. It's just bizarre, though, isn't it? You know, we were 2-0 down, I believe, at that point. Max Amar's probably thinking, "Sod this, it's whatever." He's not well. He comes off, and the third goal, I think. Well, if you've watched it back, you know what I'm on about. What the hell is going on?
Yeah,
They're both. It's trudling back towards Morris. All Bagger oof it out. To Tunda oof it out. Someone get the ball out. No, they're both waiting for each other to get the ball. Their player goes, "Nice one, thank you." Little dink. 3-0, game over. I mean, it was game over at 2-0 if we're being honest with ourselves. But
yeah,
it was abysmal. It was abysmal, James. There was nothing there on that pitch that excited me. It was scary to see that we'd reverted to the hoofball again, and I'm wondering whether that was because did Harris set him up that way because Tranmere are a physical team and we had to match him on the physicality. If it was that way, it didn't work because Tranmere won every header, every second ball. You guys, do you know what? You have to say fair play to them. We were bad, but Tranmere was really good.
Yeah,
you know they were a good side.
Eddie, similar feelings.
Yeah, although it took me longer to get there. I live in Canterbury, so I couldn't just get on a coach. So I actually set off on Friday at 10 o'clock and then got a train to Ebbsfleet, got picked up, drove up with a mate who had family up there. I stayed with a friend in Manchester, and Northern Trains were running, so we could actually get to Liverpool. So mine was a 36-hour round trip for, well, not only the worst display, I'd say, away from home since Rotherham 5-1 last season, but we didn't have a shot on target. I mean, obviously, the pace is nearly on target, but it was a pretty glum trip home, I've got to say, apart from giggling at Man U letting in 4 goals. Apart from that, it was just so depressing because we thought we'd take baby steps forward against Rochdale, but they're a very poor side. I think, they haven't won a game, they're bottom of the league. They're going to be in the bottom 4, I think. So I think, we'll play harder teams than that. And we just need to get some wins under our belt for confidence. But I mean, Tranmere came 9th last season, I think. They were on the fringes of the playoffs. They're not going to be like amazing, but they twatted us aside and they hadn't scored all season.
It seemed like to me, Eddie, that it wasn't through their good play that they went and undid us. It seemed like for the goals that we pretty much we'd given them the chances.
We can claim an assist on all 3 goals, absolutely. But before they took the lead, they'd hit the par, and just after they'd only made it 1-0, they should have made it 3-0. I mean, it could have been outside before half time. I mean, obviously, some people activate the 3-goal rule, went down the pub anyway, but people could have left before half time if Tranmere had their shooting boots on. People saying how bad was it? It's like there was really nothing up front. The midfield were like a bit samey. They weren't terrible. Just there didn't seem to be much happening. And then at the back, we just had those errors in us. I mean, as was mentioned earlier, Green, we could have had a penalty, maybe even 1.5 penalties. Our problem was every time he got tackled, he went down a bit easily, and you could say he cried wolf a little bit. So there were 3 half shouts, and then when it came to one when the bloke cleaned him out, the ref thought it was, he'd overacted again. But we could have had a penalty, but I don't think that would have changed the game because, I mean, it really was the most depressing performance I've seen under Harris, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
And quite alarming because the poverty of the squad, there was nothing really to change it around. And just that we haven't got enough quality players, especially up front. I mean, how do you go into a football season in the Football League? We basically managed on the sole senior striker that's done it previously. So he breaks his leg neck the week after the transfer window shut. So he gets back, red card, a 3-card, 3-match ban. What are we going to do? Start, pick someone up front like when we had Aimer one game? I mean, people are just things. They thought there'd be a reset after relegation, yeah? a rebuild and they trust the manager absolutely. And it hasn't turned out like that. We've got Shorey to supposed to be, looking for talent. Maybe we found some talent and then we haven't been able to sign them because of whatever, shall we say. But a lot of people felt there was a chance to reboot. And Saturday really was more like, oh my God, we've got to make sure we're not dragged into the bottom six.
Yeah. Do you think as well that obviously we'd heard the previous day, Eddie, from Paul Fisher for the first time, and he highlighted what obviously the current problems were with the football club, but he'd also massively highlighted that what come first and foremost was the football team, and that everything about the football club should point back towards the football team. He would have been super alarmed after Saturday, wouldn't he, that we need to go and sort this quickly.
He said all the right things. I'm hoping he's going to be allowed some largesse to actually do some of the right things. That would be a huge boost to everybody. Now, we don't know yet why he's come to the club. Is it just as a holding position, or is he genuinely looking for buyers on Scally's behalf? Or is it just Scally needs, it's been a tough old 6 months for him, or what? If he can find a new buyers, look at Oldham Athletic, right? Yeah. An absolute basket case, the biggest basket case of last season. And they've gone out of the Football League. Absolute catastrophe for them and their fans. But they've changed the owners. They still found an owner. And their first game at home to Dorking, their first home game in the conference, they get 8,500. That's more than double their usual crowd last season in the Football League, because all the people who've come back who were fed up with how it was being run. You look at Grimsby Town, who went down, and now this season they've come back up, different owners again, 6,000 season ticket holders sold. So you do feel that a reboot at the Gills might have a similar effect eventually if Paul Scally ever did actually leave. I mean, there's been references to, horror movies where you never know if the bad, until the stakes through the heart and it exploded into a trillion pieces, you're never really sure, But I can't even persuade some of my friends who are lifelong Gills fans just to come along, even when we've got a spare ticket. There's so many people who, back in the day would have been in Carlisle on a Tuesday night. I mean, breaks my heart.
Yeah.
So hopefully Paul Fisher will read the room in that sense, and start to do the little things right that we can fix very quickly, as opposed to the team on the pitch. I think that's a bigger job in some ways. So let's get the shop working and the ticket office working and being able to sell programs and not running out of food and drink and everything like that. At least make the experience when you go to the Gills, aside from the football on the pitch, a little less depressing. That'll improve the vibe, just, I don't know, it's just been so depressing going there. Like, if I wasn't a Gillingham season ticket holder, if I was a neutral who lived in Kent, who just fancied a game on a Saturday, where should I go? Pretty sure will be probably bottom of my list at the moment, because the football, under Evan, we were losing ugly. That's pretty grim. It's not cheap. Getting a ticket's not very easy. And then the experience when you came here was pretty grotty. So hopefully, some of these things can start to change, because I want my football club to thrive. I don't want to, we all know we can lose 3-0. That happens in football. But it's on top of last season and the relegation and everything else, it left us feeling pretty glum on the way home, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And that then obviously led to Neil Harris in his post-match comments saying that the performance wasn't acceptable. It wasn't what a Neil Harris side is about. And he just quite frankly said it was a disgusting performance, and he's sorry to all the Gills fans. He himself, he's gone and acted today, obviously, but I will speak about that in a minute. But him himself would have been thinking, "Oh my God, what have I got myself into?"
Yeah, obviously I wasn't as lucky as these two gents, so I didn't make it to Tranmere. I've just got back, as Harry and Eddie have described, they're all pretty abysmal. Second one for fullback, quite a good strike actually, but the where we've got absolutely no one anywhere near him, and it's just it's a circus. It seems to be quite of a theme of goals we've conceded so far this season. I've still got the second one at Wimbledon going around my head every 10 minutes, but it's just like Eddie says, you can lose games 3-0. It naturally happens in football. It's just how you do the game that is the sticking point. And as Harris said himself, we lost that game 3-0 because we didn't battle. We lost not just the game, but everything in it. The battles, second balls, first headers, like that. It seems to be a bit of an issue at times where, the two main issues so far is that we seem to be in a position defensively where when someone starts putting active pressure on us and they start winning a midfield battle, we look very, very lightweight at the back in terms of keeping the ball out the back of net, and also we don't seem to be able to score a plethora of goals at this moment in time. Like with a better front line, that's easy to say, but like better players or more options up front, we probably would have beaten Rochdale by 3 or 4. But as it happened, we only got the one, and we were in a position where we were having to hold out, which really, given the course of the game, we should have been out and away long before that. But obviously really disappointing result. There's no sugarcoating it. We were quite clearly poor. First goal in particular, I don't think blame's really on Baggett for that. Aimer is talking about, which is stupid, but I think really Baggett wide, he seems to invite him to come on the inside, which a lot more options to pick his spot, whereas if he just sort of moves his body around and shows him to the wide hand side where he's not going to be able to go anywhere, at least a moment or two to get a play back. But yeah, I really glad he didn't hold back on it. I was slightly worried he might revert to the Evans tactic where obviously we had a penalty appeal. I've seen it. I think I saw it once on Saturday once the game was going on. I thought it was probably a little bit soft, to be honest. But it's one of them where under Evans is probably saying it's a penalty, and if we get that, it's a completely different game. Whereas Harris really go down that route, regardless of that decision, whether it was or wasn't, we still losing the game because of it. And it's a bit frustrating because obviously we came out of the Wimbledon game, thinking we've started badly, but we will get better. And obviously the Rochdale game, everyone got renewed optimism a bit. They're probably blinded by the fact that the most polite aren't very good. They were absolutely terrible. They've lost all 3 games. Probably going to be one of the teams down there. As Eddie says, a victory like that against a team that poor, which we only managed to just about win 1-0 to start dominating the game, sort of shadow some people. Thought sometimes, Harris said himself, we lost. We were getting relegated. We were getting promoted, and now we're getting relegated again because we've lost another game. But it's just about we need to get ourselves. I suppose the word is acclimatise really to the league we're in at the minute and how they are to a degree, and we need to get back out there, keep it the same performance levels that we had against Rochdale in every game. We still need a couple more players. I know we signed someone today, but we still need a striker because, as Eddie was saying, Brandon does get injured, who really set the world alight so far. I don't really that much. But in terms of league performances that I've seen, is not really made. Good as he is.
Harry, let's obviously show the comment from James then. I was at Tranmere with Harry on Saturday. It was awful. Everything we did against Rochdale went out the window Saturday. It was an awful game. We had nothing going for them. We looked very bad defensively for the 3 goals. Harry, we'll put obviously this question to you then. Was it most frustrating that the fact that we'd gone and conceded 3 goals, or was it more frustrating that we completely and utterly just disregarded the way that we've been playing for the last 3 games, stopped playing out from the back, stopped playing the passing football that we've done? Was that more frustrating that we
absolutely? Eddie said it himself. You're going to lose games 3-0, but there was no fight. There was no game plan. That's what it felt like. Last week, the players against Rochdale had fight. And do you know what? As Owen said, it's probably highlighted how poor really Rochdale were. And I was worried last week that was it the case of Rochdale making us look better than we were. But we did play well. but obviously they didn't press us, Rochdale. Tranmere, more physical. We played a more physical side in Tranmere and we got punished. Defence all over the place. I mean, everyone said it all really about that game. It was a long way to travel for what we got. If we lost 3-0, but we played well and had a few chances, obviously you'd be gutted. You're losing 3-0. But at least we'd have positives. There was no positive yesterday of Saturday. And I feel like that's the worst part is there's nothing I look back on and go, well, yes, we conceded 3 and defensively we were poor, but the only thing we had was Jordan's Green's post. That was it all game. So they didn't give the fans anything to cheer about that were there. Stuart O'Keefe, as I said, come back on after his injury. That's another positive. But now we're really nitpicking.
Okay. Philip Watson said we shouldn't play hoofball when we go a goal down. We need to stay in the game and keep pressing. Eddie, put this question to you then. Obviously, we've seen this complete transformation in the way that we play football under Harris, where obviously we've not seen it probably since the Edinburgh days where we do effectively under Harris at the moment, like to get the ball down, like to play in areas of risk, and we can give it away. But my question, have we got the players to do it? Have we got the players to do it in this current squad where it can be effective?
I think we've got the players to do it against sides from the bottom half of the table who are going to be at the bottom half of the table. However, I think as you play sides who are going to be in the top 6, top 8, I think they will, a bit like we did to MK Dons the other year. They tried to play out, we bullied them and we hurried them. They made errors and they gifted us goals. I think it's asking a lot for some of our players really to tippy-tappy, play like Barcelona from the back. To be honest, I mean, I much prefer the style of play as a general concept of keeping the ball on the ground a bit and knocking it about. But I think they're going to be realistic on occasions. I'm not sure why it didn't happen at all, even from the off at Tranmere, whether that was tactical or they saw a weakness in Tranmere or something before the game. I don't know. That was a bit odd, but we were so poor right from the start. It was all, we could have been 1 or 2 down before they scored. That by then you're thinking, well, the game plan already gone out the window? But I mean, I think that yes, teams like Rochdale, if they're not going to sort of harry us and hurry us into mistakes, then we can play a bit more tippy-tappy. But even if we have to mix up a bit, it's still not easier on the eye mostly to watch us try and play football at least quite a lot of the time. It's more, I think, if we had another striker, so we had 2, one playing on, and more of an out ball if we need it. But also, just if we score a goal and are in the lead, that just gives the confidence and they calm down a bit and they may be more confident to play. Yeah. I think chasing the game or you're a bit anxious at 0-0 and a bit under the cosh, it's easier said than done. I mean, we are talking about League 2 players. So there are teams in this division who do like to knock it about a bit. But I think needs must on occasions.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you mentioned Mandron there, and obviously he come back to the football club after being away for a couple of years, and my question's always been is that yes, he is a big man, but is he good enough in the air? And the fact of the matter is that when I've seen us go direct this season, it's just come straight back.
He's not as good as Oliver in the air at all. Oliver won a phenomenal amount of the air. I mean, a remarkable amount of stuff in the air. And the referees gave him no protection whatsoever. He would get rugby tackled 3 or 4 times a game and nothing would happen. I mean, it reminded me of when we had Hakeeb Adelakun. He used to win stuff in the air and get rugby tackled and nothing. But Oliver, it got to beyond a joke. So, he's not as good in the air, but maybe a little bit better on the ground with a touch, maybe sometimes. But you know, I would say that I'd rather have kept Oliver. But you know,
yeah, okay, yeah. Talking about a little bit of height and need, certainly, yeah, a little bit of height probably needed in that attacking force. We went and added one this afternoon. Hakeeb Adelakun arrived from Lincoln. 6'3". I certainly was completely. I was surprised when this signing come through. There weren't any rumours of him arriving at the football club. Harris and the Gills had done very, very well to keep it secret. And yeah, what more surprised me even more was that the fact he has actually started the first 2 league games for Lincoln in League One is what is more surprising to me. On then why on earth Lincoln would then let him go to the league below. Owen, yeah, what's your assessment of Hakeeb coming through the door?
Well, I've heard of him, which is a good start. He's someone that is quite talked about when he was at, I think it was Bristol City, maybe he was at before. He scored loads of goals for Scunthorpe and did really well there, and then he moved on. I think he had a goal as well. I'm not sure how well he's done, particularly at Lincoln, but he offers something different. Thankfully, well, I'd assume it would mean Kashkit would go more into a central position because as a wide player, he just doesn't really do it for me personally. It's sort of a similar build in a way to Carriol last year, just hopefully not with the same injury record. He's someone who comes with high league pedigree, but he played those two games to Lincoln because of they wanted him to play, or whether it was an injury issue to someone else, and it became a bit of a necessity. But I think from as soon as we start a player, I always look at the replies from the team we've signed him from to see what the general consensus is, and a lot of it was quite negative in a sense that, not from our point of view, in a sense that they didn't seem to be entirely happy that he was going out on loan, which is another good sign. I can't say I've seen too much of him in terms of a player, but obviously he offers us something different. We've now got 2 natural wide players. As I say, Kashkit's not really a winger, he's more of a striker. He's down as a right winger, which is the same as Jordan Green. I think Green likes to cut inside a lot, so I think he'd probably be the one who's staying on the right hand side. He seems to like to come in and try and hit with his left. I'm not sure if this new guy, I don't even know what foot he is, to be honest. I should have researched that. But hopefully he'll offer us a bit of a different dynamic, and where Mandron's been quite starved for service so far this season, hopefully that will provide it. I still would like to see us have a bit more of a well, as Eddie said, a second striker really to go with Mandron. Maybe Harris is maybe if we get a wide player in and you can use Kashkit to fill that void in the middle, perhaps, and then give us Mandron, Kashkit and Lewis Walker. So maybe he sees that as being enough. I'm not too sure. The dream is obviously Oleafi from Millwall and Pierre as the final 2 signings. That would be very good for me. But yeah, in terms of this, I'm quite happy with it. It seems like a decent coup for this level. And as we were saying before we came on, we don't know whether he's registered in time for tomorrow. I believe that it's 5 p.m. the cut-off for a midweek game, and we announced it at 4:30. So, given that, I'd like to think that we've got that done beforehand. I don't think we'll. Right.
Yeah, Steve Baker has just commented saying, tore us apart in the away game at Scunthorpe in 14-15 season to the famous downpour interrupted in the game. Was anyone at that game? Does anyone remember?
I thought you were there.
I was wondering if, and I was definitely there. I was wondering if anyone else was.
I was at the game, but all I remember is Marquis trying to fix the pitch.
Yeah, he needs a broom, didn't he? He started sweeping the goal mouth. I do remember that. Harry, yeah, obviously there wasn't any rumours coming out about this signing, but one thing is for sure is that Harris has mentioned all the way through this recruitment process is that he's not going to sign anybody for the sake of signing them. Apart from obviously Lewis Walker, he apparently had chased for 4 weeks. I'm not sure about that. But yeah, in terms of quality, it seems like this one is a real good addition for us. Yes. And pace, power, strength, knows where the goal is. it's what we need in that attacking lineup, isn't it?
Absolutely. I did see in his first game of the season for Lincoln, he got man of the match. And then looking at as Owen said, their fans' comments, they can't believe it. And the fact that a League One team can't believe that we've got a first team player on loan, that excites me a lot. But it is rumoured, I see, that Lincoln are looking to sign a Championship winger. So that makes sense. As for the player himself, I don't know a lot about him, but 6'3", strong and quick, you're not going to complain about that. Kashkit, I like Kashkit, I do. I think he's really quick, but he's weak. Green looks weak, but he wins the ball back quite well. Whereas I believe like Kashkit, when he loses it, it looks like it's gone from him, especially Saturday. But we need depth. We need numbers, right? We're in League Two. We're going to have a lot of double fixtured weeks. I'm worried about tomorrow because of the size of the squad, and because it was obviously a full-on game against Tranmere in terms of their physicality of Tranmere, and we got run ragged chasing the ball for 90 minutes. It does make you think: are they going to be fatigued for tomorrow? You'd hope not, but with now 3 wingers in the squad, we've got depth. We've got slight depth. I will emphasise the word depth there isn't used comfortably, but it's another number in the squad. Definitely need another centre back, and it would be lovely if we could, get another striker as well. But Harris said 2, and he said guaranteed 2 extra. That's the one. That's one of them. So. Listen, we'll see what happens. His interview was quite interesting because he said last week we were close to 2 players. Whoever that may be, we'll never know. But for whatever he said, for one reason or another, it fell through. Obviously, again, we'll never know why. But it looks like once they've lost a target, now they've got this guy in. They've got a list. It seems like if they're missing one, they're going for the next one, which is good. They haven't just got 2 in their sights for last week, lost out on both of them, and then just given up. They're going right. No. Harris is like, we need players in. We've missed out on one. Let's go for the next one. And a lot of it's probably Shorey. Obviously, we haven't heard from him. We don't even know what he's doing, but he's doing something. It looks like. But yeah, very positive, very happy with it, and it will be interesting to see. The lineup tomorrow, obviously, he's just signed, but he's fit, and we know that because he's played both of Lincoln's games. So, if he starts tomorrow, if he's registered in time, it'll be interesting to see who he drops for him, what shape he goes with, etc., etc.
Yeah, definitely. Eddie, before I come to you, Nicholas Coo, Eddie Alcorn is a media star. Eddie, would you bring the new boy straight in? Would you bring him straight into the lineup?
Assuming he's fit, absolutely. I mean, we have so few options. I mean, seriously, even if we sign 2 more players, we are looking at a squad that is threadbare. We couldn't even field a subs bench on day, week 2 of the Football League season. Remember how many times we have, 2 or 3 injuries and a couple of suspensions, and that's not even allowing for dips in form. We are so short of players, let's hope we don't hit an injury crisis, because otherwise some of you lot might have to bring your boots with you.
Okay. Let's get on to tomorrow then. It's obviously the first game of the season under the lights at Priestfield. Owen, it's really, really important that we bounce back, isn't it, after Saturday?
Yeah, I think I'm not wrong. I would be, because I've never heard of it before, but I imagine this is the first time we've ever played Harrogate in our history. Maybe. Fun fact. It's one of them. It's basically the same conversation we were having after the first game against Wimbledon. We have to bounce back in the home game. I'm not entirely sure how they've started the season. I think they drew on Saturday. I don't know.
Sorry, Owen. They won 3-0 Swindon, then lost 3-0, and then drew 0-0.
Brilliant. Yeah. Actually, it's not they've won every game. Was that Swindon game at home or away?
At home. And then they lost away 3-0 and then drew 0-0 at home.
Okay, I see. Right. So, yeah, it's imperative we bounce back straight away. Obviously, it's it's one of those games where when I was looking before the start of the season, sort of looked at this week as a good opportunity to get points if we perhaps didn't start as well as we'd like. 2 home games on the bounce, although saying that Walsall have actually started quite well, but that's a conversation for later on in the week. In terms of Harrogate, they're quite a likeable club. I watched their documentary during the summer on BT Sport. They seem quite nice. Yeah, good club. But we need to beat them tomorrow. Is the bread and butter of it. I know not many of their players. I think there's someone talks about him quite a lot. I think his last name's Diamond, as one of their more exciting players. One that's been picked out quite a lot. I'm not an expert in Harrogate players, but I think it's just imperative that we forget what happened Saturday, get out there, push on from the front, but basically start the way we started against Rochdale, and we were in control for 30 minutes, put them on the back foot. Obviously, we need to take advantage of the fact that it's a long journey for them to make in midweek, as per EFL's fantastic scheduling. As long as we just go out there and put our game onto them rather than just put in the first odd performance that we put in on Saturday, I think we will be all right. I think they're probably going to be around the mid-table, maybe a bit lower side. One of those games on paper that you need to be winning if you want to be anywhere near the top. Not that I think we will be, but just in general. But I think I'm quite confident. I did say we'd win on Saturday, and that didn't quite go to plan. But I think looking forward to this game, it's another opportunity to get 3 points. We need to obviously bounce on from the first win we've had at home, and we can do that and get back on track soon.
Harry, it's really important tomorrow night that we come flying out the blocks, isn't it?
Imperative. Tomorrow, we need to take the game to Harrogate. We need to show the fans that the Rochdale game wasn't a one-off. We need to show them that the Tranmere one was a one-off. Do you know? We need more from everyone. It's like I say, it is a shame because of Rochdale, and then obviously, yes, we apparently got battered in the week against Wimbledon. But we come out with a 2-0 win. Take that every. Do you know what I mean? I'll take getting battered for a 2-0 win. But as Owen said, it's Harrogate. We are as probably bad as it is. We are all thinking we need to win tomorrow, right? We're all thinking it. We need to bounce back from Tranmere. I'm not underestimating them because anything can happen. As we've learnt in League Two, and as we knew when we were in League Two before, it's the most inconsistent league in the world. I think last season there was 3 points split in 12th and 6th, so it's going to be a tough year. But tomorrow is imperative that we prove ourselves to ourselves that we can do the Rochdale performance again. Stick to a game plan and not panic, because I think we panicked a lot Saturday, especially at the back. We panicked, and it probably might have been a bit of nerves as well. I don't really know what it was, but we forget about Saturday. Tomorrow night is it's next game. It's Tuesday night game. I always find Tuesday night games are unpredictable anyway for any club. I think you get some weird results on a Tuesday night. But back to winning ways, and then obviously we look to Walsall, who are in great form, but we'll worry about that after tomorrow's game, I think.
Yeah, Eddie, 3 home games in effectively 7 days now. It's really important that we use that to build some momentum. With obviously these games coming up.
Absolutely. I think tomorrow, if there is a goal, first goal is crucial because I think we're a bit fragile. And a lot of people, as you say, will be thinking, well, we've never played Harrogate before. They'll have about 30 fans down. It could be a pretty sparse crowd tomorrow. And we're a bit battered after last season. I mean, when we beat Rochdale was the first Saturday home win for 50 weeks. And it was only 1-0. The last time we scored 2 and won a home game was that Morecambe game. So it's not like we're, all we did was a few 1-0 home wins last season after that on Tuesday night. Having a 2-0 lead would be a novelty, wouldn't it? I think that if we score first and we don't make any errors at the back like we did on Saturday, then we've got a reasonable chance. But I just think we're a bit fragile, and so hopefully we don't have any errors like we did on Saturday, because really we could claim 3 assists on that. I think Walsall will be a harder game. Certainly on paper, they've got off to a better start. I think Harrogate I think they're more likely to let us play a bit. They've got that of trying to play football a bit, so I think we might have a chance of, trying to play out from the back a bit more without getting bullied for that one. Whilst I expect Walsall to try and stomp on us a little bit. It's an opportunity, 3 games, but also, as obviously if we come off all 3 games, everyone's going to be suicidal, aren't they? So, I mean, I like that we're only charging a tenner for the extra game and all this sort of stuff, and let's try and get 2 people along because, and I would argue we didn't get battered at Wimbledon in the League Cup. They had a few chances, but most of their shots ended up in the crowd. It was more dangerous for the Wimbledon fans in the home end, really, than our league. And we should have had the penalty that was never given, and then there was the offside goal. I mean, we could have walked away with a 4-0 win, which would have been completely bonkers given the balance of play. But as you say, take a 2-0 win. It was just nice to score a couple of late goals in front of our own fans, for people to go on glory runs and be silly and hug the players. And we need to reconnect the team and the players, and everything has been fractured. So the fans and the team, we need new songs for the new players. They look so delighted when they were in front of us at Wimbledon, getting great applause and cheers and all that. That they're young. Some of them don't know what it's like to be play for Gillingham. They're not sure how it's going to pan out, and I think we need to rebuild from the back, so that we feel we're all in it together, because that has been fractured.
Yeah, Owen. Eddie alluded to it there about obviously us scoring once and we're a little bit fragile, and it seems like we score once, but yet we then don't have the confidence to go and score 2 or 3. It is really important tomorrow night that while we're on top, if we go and grab one, we then just don't stop, do we? We try and go and get 2, 3, 4, and try and put the game to bed as early as possible.
Yeah, in the ideal world, yeah, but I'm still not convinced we really have to play paper to doing that is the issue. But that might change with this new fella, I don't know. But from what I saw against Rochdale, I think any half decent team would have beaten them more comprehensively than we did. And that's the priority. As I said earlier, if we play a game that we did on Saturday, but we're only 1-0 up going into the last 5 minutes plus injury time, and it's suddenly. But thankfully, Rochdale ready and well. But against a better side, then we might end up ruining all those missed chances. I think there's just the thing with me in terms of our attack, and what I think is really that we might get the 1 goal, but it's like even against Rochdale, we had the second best chance we had after the goal was because they made a defensive error and gave the ball straight to Kashket, who was in loads of space and couldn't finish it off. And it just is a right that, hopefully with this new player, we've got 2 natural wingers now. Mandron will start getting the service. It has been lacking for most of the season. Maybe he will start finishing more chances for us when he gets more opportunities, and we might be able to get more than 1 goal on the odd occasion. But it is still quite poignant to me, and I know a lot of other Gills fans as well, that even if he ideally wants to move Kashket to the middle in Mandron and Walker, I'm not really sure over the course of the season that's going to be.
Okay, cool. Harry, what? Give us your prediction for tomorrow then.
1-0 Gills.
You got 1-0 Gills?
Ben Reeves. Yeah, I got to. You got to.
Okay, positive. Eddie, what are you going for?
I do not do predictions. I don't want to jinx it. I'm very but if you had a gun to my head, I don't think we'll score more than 1 goal though.
No. Okay.
Agreed.
Interesting. Owen, what about you, buddy?
1-0.
1-1. Wow. Okay. You don't. No one backs us to score a lot of goals then. Fair enough.
Okay. Make the game, but Harrogate are a better side than Rochdale. So if we don't get our second goal,
yeah, that's true. Interesting. Okay, that wraps up tonight's show, guys. Thank you for joining me this evening.
Well, James, you're not getting out of it. Score prediction.
Score prediction. Right, fair enough. Yeah, all right. I'll go 1-0 Gills.
Nice. Yeah.
I've got to go 1-0 Gills. Fine. That's fine. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for listening, guys.
It's been a pleasure.
Liking, subscribing. Keep watching us. Episode 18 now, racking up the numbers. So keep enjoying the show. Thanks for all your support. And let's hope the new boy is the saviour tomorrow night. We'll see, shall we? Under the lights. We've never been very good at freestyle under the lights for some reason. But in recent years, anyway. Anyway, yeah, you've been watching the ME7 podcast, episode 18. And as always, up the Gills. Good night.